Hi there, welcome back. My name is Samira and this is a book haul. Alright, so recently I bought a number of books and I thought I should definitely do a book haul. It's my first one, but I like the idea of doing one, so here it is. Just so you know, I always start every video with fantasy because that's my most read genre, that's what I love most. And today, the first book is Babel, or The Necessity of Violence and Arcane History of the Oxford Translators' Revolution. That's a very long name. This one's written by R.F. Kuang. I haven't read her other books. I haven't read the Poppy War trilogy yet. It's on my TBR. I want to read it, but I'm not sure if I should read this one first or if I start with Poppy War trilogy. I don't know. If you guys know which way is better to proceed, tell me in the comments. I'd appreciate it. Babel was published in 2022. It's 544 pages, has a rating of 4.25 on Goodreads. I'm actually pretty intimidated by this book because of the subject genre, because I haven't read many dark academia novels, but this is historical fantasy mixed with dark academia, so I don't know, I might enjoy it very much, but I'm still a bit afraid to start reading this book. But at the same time, it's very intriguing. So the story is about Robin, a Chinese boy raised in Britain. This guy takes Robin in and starts preparing him for entering this college. Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, also known as Babel. He's getting prepared to go there to go attend the college. So Babel is the center of translation. There's magic, there's silver working, and the whole theme of knowledge is power is very prominent in this book. I think there's going to be a revolution based on the title, and the scholars and the translators are going to have a huge part in this story. I've never read anything like this book, but I'm really curious to see how the story is going to unfold because I've heard so many good things about Babel. I'm just really excited to go through with it myself. Oh my god, I just realized on the back of the cover, the praise part, it says right here that it's Philip Pullman's The Golden Compass by way of N.K. Jemisin's The Fifth Season. I haven't read The Fifth Season yet, it's on my TBR, but The Golden Compass by Pullman was one of my all-time favorite childhood books. I really love those books. If it has the same vibes, I think I'm gonna enjoy this one. Next, I have The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This is the first book in the Roots of Chaos. There's another book that came out this year. What was it called? A Day of Fallen Night, but that's a prequel. This was published 2019. It's very long, 800 something pages. Has a rating of 4.23 on Goodreads. This book is about a divided world, a queendom without an heir, and an ancient enemy who's awakening. I don't know much about this book, but I do know that it follows three main characters. The first one is an unwed queen who has to conceive a daughter to, protect her realm from destruction. The second character, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing the name wrong, but her name is Iyad Durian. As far as I know, she's an outsider in the court, trying to protect the queen, and she's loyal to a hidden society of mages. I think what she does is forbidden, but she's trying to protect the queen. That's all I know. The third character is Across the Dark Sea, Tane or Taney, I'm not sure again, sorry. She's trained to be a dragon rider since very early on in her life, and yeah, that's all I know about the book, and that is enough because dragons, magic. I really do want to get to this book very soon because I hope to finish this one and then read the second one, the prequel one, A Day of Fallen Night, before the end of the year. That'd be awesome, but it's very big and I don't know. It's intimidating. This book haul is all about intimidating books you're gonna see. Next on the list is a book I actually very recently read. I read A Court of Silver Flames this month in July. This is the fourth book in the Akatar series written by Sarah J. Maas. So A Court of Silver Flames is about the eldest Archeron sister, Nesta Archeron, and how she's trying to adjust to her new life as High Fae. So this is her stories and Cassian's. I always liked Nesta among the sisters. I thought she had something to tell. I will talk about this book in my wrap-up, so I'm not going to go into details here, but just so you know, this is about Nesta and Cassian, and there's this conflict with human queens that have returned to the continent, and there's this new enemy who's trying to threaten the realm, so the peace is threatened somehow. This is the plot line of the story, but the main story is about Nesta and how she's going to cope with everything. Number 4, another fantasy book I've already read. This is Fourth Being by Rebecca Yarros. This is a very hyped up book this year. It came out in May. I'm not sure what's its rating right now on Goodreads because it keeps changing every day. So this is another romance fantasy. The story is about Violet Sorrengill, a 20-year-old girl who wants to be a scribe and have a normal life, have a quiet life, but her mother, the commanding general, forces her to go enter this college for dragon riders. That's a very brutal place, and they have to fight for their lives to, survive till the end and then be chosen by a dragon. This story is about Lila's journey as she kind of tries to survive. Again, I already read this book. I'll put the link. I did a reading vlog for this one. So if you're interested, go check it out. Alright, changing the pace a bit. The next one is a mystery thriller, If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. This is another very famous book, and I think it's gonna be a very good one. I have high hopes for this one, but again, because I haven't read many books in this kind of genre, I'm a bit intimidated to read it. This came out in 2017, so it's been a while. I actually haven't realized it's been that long. It's 354 pages, it's fairly short, and it has a rating of 4.21 on Goodreads. Oliver Mark served 10 years in jail for a murder he may or may not have committed. He's coming out of prison, and he's approached by the detective who put him in prison in the first place. He wants to know what happened 10 years ago. The story is about a group of theater students. They're doing this play, they're preparing for this show. At the final moments, the casting gets flipped on its head, and the power dynamics in the group between these people shifts forever. And so one of them dies, as far as I know. One of them dies, and we don't know what happened. That's all I know about the story. This has Shakespearean references all over it, or at least that's what I heard. I do like that, but again, I'm intimidated. Next one is a classic, Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. This has been on my radar since university, but I kept putting it off because I didn't have the physical copy for it. I'm actually very afraid of the subject matter in this book. This was published in 1955. 300 something pages, has a rating of 3.88 on Goodreads. The story is about Humbert, scholar, aesthete, and a romantic, has fallen completely and utterly in love with Dolores Hayes, his landlady's 12-year-old daughter. This is described as hilarious, flamboyant, heartbreaking, and full of ingenious wordplay. Lolita is an immaculate, unforgettable masterpiece of obsession, delusion, and lust. The last sentence kind of gives me hope. Because this is a classic, I've been afraid to actually read it because it's been written in 1955. I don't know how the story is gonna go. I don't know what are the nuances of the story, but I'm hopeful because it's described as obsession and delusion, and I don't know. The main reason I always wanted to read this book is because of his ingenious wordplay. Nabokov is very famous for that, and in university I had this professor who talked about Nabokov's writing style, and I always was curious to pick this up and see how that goes for me, because he constructs language in a way that's very pleasing to hear and to actually pronounce the words. He has this way with language, with the English language. I don't know. I have to read it for myself, but again, I'm very scared to pick this book up because of the subject matter. I'm afraid I might, meet horrors inside this book because 12 years old. Trigger warnings if you want to pick it up. I mean, you probably already know, but yeah. Number 7 is a book I am most intimidated by. A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. No explanation needed as for why I'm afraid of reading this book. This is something I just can't ignore. I have to see what it's about. I have to read it, Published in 2015, 720 pages, and has a rating of 4.34 on Goodreads. This is one of those books that everyone who read said it destroyed them, so that's why I'm afraid of reading this book. Definitely, I'm not gonna read it in summer. I may read it, I don't know, maybe November. The story is about these 4 classmates who moved to New York City to make their way. Willem, an aspiring actor, JB, a painter seeking entry to the art world, Malcolm, an architect at a prominent firm, and withdrawn, brilliant, enigmatic Jude, who serves as their center of gravity. So over the decades, their relationships deepen and darken. That's all I needed to know about this book, because what else do you need? Everyone has already cried with this book. I have to be mentally prepared. I pick it up when I feel brave. Now, a very drastic change in the tone. I have these 2 books by Emily Henry. I haven't read Happy Place or People We Meet on Vacation yet. So let's start with Happy Place. This book came out earlier this year in April. It's fairly short, 388 pages, has a rating of 4.21. Last time I checked on Goodreads. This is about Harriet and Wynne. So Harriet and Wynne have been the perfect couple ever since they met in college, and they're the perfect match. But something happened, they don't talk about the reasons, and we don't know them. They have broken up 6 months ago and still haven't told a single one of their friends. There's this yearly vacation they take with their friends, and now they have to go on it because it's been pre-planned. No one knows they've broken up, and they have to pretend for a week that they're still together. This is a second chance romance. I don't know about second chance romance. It's not my favorite trope. I usually don't read books with that kind of vibe, but I'm gonna give it a try because it's Emily Henry, and fingers crossed, I hope I'm gonna enjoy this book. The other one, People We Meet on Vacation, it actually has a lower rating comparing to her other books. It has a rating of 3.91. It's been published in 2021, 364 pages. And I actually like this book. I actually like the synopsis of this book a lot better. So this story is about two best friends, 10 summer trips, one last chance to fall in love. It's about Poppy and Alex, two very different people who by chance met years ago. Ever since a faithful car share home from college many years ago, they are very best of friends. Every summer for a decade, they have taken one glorious week of vacation until 2 years ago when they ruined everything. So something happened 2 years ago, we don't know what that is, but this year Poppy decides to give it a shot, and she actually asks Alex, let's go on one final trip in order to fix things between them. So I really like the synopsis, but I'm gonna leave it for later after I read Happy Place because I'm not sure about Happy Place. So if I don't enjoy this one as much as I have enjoyed the other books by Emily Henry, I still have this to read. So last book on the list is something I never thought I would have bought because I've seen this book, but I never knew what it was about. The cover didn't attract my attention. I didn't even know what it was about. I just knew I'm not gonna read it. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zavine. My sister actually picked this book up and said, this looks interesting, let's get it. And at that point, I had no idea what this book was about. I just knew that it's been everywhere, I've seen it, it must be good. This was published in 2022, 401 pages, and has a rating of 4.23, which is pretty high. This is about two friends, often in love but never lovers, come together as creative partners in the world of video game design, where success brings them fame, joy, tragedy, duplicity, and ultimately a kind of immortality. So I had no idea this book was about video game design, or I would have picked it up. It would have caught my attention. Now knowing it, it actually makes sense. The cover actually makes sense now, a lot more. But I had no idea. I thought this is one of those romance books that I'm not gonna like at all, but it sounds interesting. I'm gonna give it a shot, even though it wasn't my pick. But video game design, I always like that. Okay, so that was all the books I had for this book haul. A total of 10 books. It may not be much, but it's definitely a heavy stack of books. And now I have no place on my shelves to put them. I have to think of something. I have to squeeze them somewhere on my shelves. Alright guys, so these were the 10 books I had for this book haul. Hopefully I can overcome my fears and read some of these books before the end of the year. Please tell me in the comment section if you have read any of these books, if you had more suggestions, or if you think I should prioritize one of them above the others. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!